For the first 7 or 8 years of my being treasurer, the environment was really quite benign. The macroeconomic environment was benign. Our endowment was growing at 10% a year. There was access to long-term, really, really cheap money. So that allowed us to do so much, allowed us to be expansive, sort out undergraduate accommodation, increase graduate accommodation, massively increase the support for our students and for our academics. And then in the last 2 or 3 years, that's changed. The environment is much less favourable. First of all, you had COVID, which we survived, but COVID wiped out the reserves that we've been steadily building up. And then you've got the impact of the Ukraine war, you've got the cost of living crisis, you've got the long-term impact of Brexit on the UK's growth. So all of that means that our endowment has stopped growing at 10% a year as it was doing, and is now probably hasn't grown for the last 2 or 3 years. So the pressures on our spending are much more significant than they were. Fundraising has a pivotal role in making sure that year on year the money that the college gets in is sufficient to meet the costs of running the college. Some people won't perhaps realise that there's a permanent funding gap in the economic model of an Oxford college, because the money we get in for our tuition fees and for our accommodation very broadly covers about half the cost of providing that teaching and providing that accommodation. So therefore you need alternative sources of income to plug that gap. That gap's typically around about £5.5 million a year at the moment. The biggest source of that funding is the money we get in from our endowment. Then there's the money that we get in from our conferences and summer schools and events in the Easter and summer vacation. Then there's the rent that we get from the 17 shops that we have around the curtilage of the college. And the final picture in that jigsaw is the money that we get every year, year on year, for either donations and legacies, which is the final piece in plugging that gap. I think there are 3 distinct ways in which RISE will secure Somerville's financial future. The first one is to do with sustainability and getting the site to zero carbon, which is a very significant undertaking. The second one is the superb opportunity we have to put a building on the site overlooking the ROQ site, overlooking the Schwartzman building and Blavatnik. And the third area is increasing the funding that we have for our tutorial fellowships. At the moment, our tutorial fellowships in the sciences and the STEM subjects and maths and medicine are all fully funded from our endowment. The social sciences and the humanities subjects are less well funded. So if we can get to a position where they are fully funded, so all of our tutorial fellowships are funded in perpetuity, that will safeguard the academic integrity of the college and its academic excellence, but it will also release other income that we can use. At the moment we have to use to fund some of those fellowships for other things. I think RISE represents the future because the emphasis is going to be partly on sustainability and the move to get Somerville to zero carbon, but also around the core themes of excellence and the work we do to support our academics and our students academically, but also around inclusion, because that's at the very heart of what Somerville does, welcoming students who might not otherwise consider coming to Oxford, and also giving the confidence and the skills and the resilience to thrive in an Oxford academic community and in whatever their life holds for them after they leave Somerville. RISE is absolutely key to all of the themes that we hold dear and that we're going to have to commit ourselves to over the next decade or so.